Obviously, I think Jayant and I are relatively unusual in having had other careers before coming into the political arena. Most of our colleagues in politics have pretty much done nothing else since their student days. Certainly in my party and in my state, which is Kerala, that's the norm. That is that people get into student politics, climb up the ranks from there, and in the case of my party, the KSU leaders become the Youth Congress leaders, become the candidates, become the MLAs, the ministers, the MPs, and so on. That's the usual route. So I am certainly very unusual in Kerala, and I dare say Jayant is also pretty unusual where he is. So how do I sort of contextualize this? In the case of a democracy, it seems to me that politics is the one way in which you can really make a difference. Because for me, what would the other option have been? I would have written articles, I might have appeared on television, I might have made speeches, but at best I could have influenced a certain segment of public opinion in rather small doses. By bringing the same interest, the same acumen, and the same level of engagement and concern and the same new ideas to politics, I might, if I'm in government, actually get to influence the decisions, and if I'm in opposition, at least be able to interact with the people who get to make the decisions. So in every case, one has a more direct impact upon the issues, upon the policy issues one cares about. And that to me is why politics matters. I've written about politics for much longer than I've been in it. I came into politics really with the elections of 2009. And if you read some of my columns in newspapers before that, I have, for example, written about the way in which in our country, educated professionals have stayed away from politics. I had a column in which I pointed out how striking it was, for example, that I think something like 13 of the last 18 American presidential candidates happened to be all graduates of Ivy League institutions like Harvard and Yale, whereas with the exception of Manmohan Singh, we had nobody since Jawaharlal Nehru with a significantly comparable educational credential. Similarly, if you look at professional backgrounds, in most Western democracies, people have come with a professional credential, very often disproportionately lawyers, but still people who've actually done some work in the real world and then got into politics. In India, as I said earlier, the opposite is the case. So I've lamented that in our country, people who are good at their studies, who show some talent for ideas, synthesis work, are told by their parents, you study hard, pass the examinations, get a real job. It's the fellows who can't pass the examinations who go into politics, right? That's the usual assumption. And as a result, we have seen in the course, if you subtract sort of the first decade after independence, you've seen over the course of these 70 years, an abdication by the professional middle classes of their involvement in our political life. And I think that's actually a great shame. I think that obviously grassroots politics is very important, but you can't just lop off a section of our society that's playing an important role in growing our economy, in setting the nation's agenda through the media, in leading civil society, NGOs, and arguing cases in the Supreme Court, whatever. You can't just leave them out of the actual political arena, because politics must look like the country, and this section of people are also like the country. I'm sorry, I've taken a bit longer than I intended to, but my point is really to say that it's very clear to me that, to tie into Hrithik's comment about how politics has become more important to people, I'd like to feel it's become more important to people like the people in this room. I imagine all of you are educated or being educated right now, that you are contemplating your future role in the society. I had somewhat complacently argued that as the electorate became more educated, so too would politics. That's not axiomatic. It may not happen that way. It takes the educated electorate a little more effort, a little more commitment. You've got to care and you've got to want to make the sacrifices that's involved. But if you do that, then indeed our politics will also change in your direction.
Dr. Shri, thank you for that.